Super. Well, we'll make a start and folks can join us as they arrive. It's really good to see you this morning. Thank you for turning up. Thank you for getting here on time as well. So we've got half an hour together just now. We're going to go through, as David was just saying, 11 reasons to have an app. Now, it's easy to simply chuck some numbers against things in and say, here's 10 reasons, here's 7 reasons, here's 9 reasons. But the most important aspect of this session is to be interactive. So if you've got any questions, any thoughts, any comments, any disagreements, I love hearing those, with things that we raise, then please do let me know. Let's help you get as much value out of being sat down and listening to this as we possibly can. And let's also look at some of the strategic reasons. What's the why? Okay, because the technology itself is really good. These sorts of apps, they're being used by more than 500,000 clients of other firms that we've already built them for. This is the leading solution for firms globally. And so there's lots and lots of good technical reasons why this is good and how it works well. But one of the important questions to ask is whether you're a small firm or whether you're one of the top 100 firms is why? Why would you have an app? What is the important part of that? So that's what we're going to go through together to begin with. Good morning, you're very welcome. Now, our shared challenge is a very difficult one. It's a broad one. You and I, we have this same shared challenge. And it's that business, finance and tax is more complicated than ever. That's probably something we can agree on. And also, it's increasingly tech dependent. And so everywhere you look, and if Accountex is anything to go by, as you walk around here today, there's very few things here that have not to do with tech. And so if we look around the profession, how we live our lives, if we look at our cars, I tried to get my car fixed the other day. That was a disaster. It's all electronic. You can't hit it with a hammer any longer. So anything like these, it's all tech dependent. And business, finance and tax is increasingly complicated. And the business owner, even those that we might have previously badged as not being very tech savvy, they are also finding it complicated. And so our shared challenge is a broad one because that covers a whole range and spectrum of things. But ultimately, this boils down to a point of relationship. And this was brought home to me recently. We have a family outside of my firm's app. I have another family business down in Cornwall. It's a holiday venue. We do weddings, events, large underground concerts, all those sorts of good things. And we were looking at a potential sale for that business. Now, our accountants at the time had their connection with us became broken. Their ability to understand us, their ability to know what was important for us, their ability to produce what we needed, and that whole connection became broken. And they lost our business, and we nearly lost a great deal of money in the process. And so we now have a new accountant, I'm pleased to say, somebody who's doing a much better job for us and supporting with that venture. But that relationship that a firm has with their clients is critical. And unless we can be present where our clients are and where they're spending their time, then how do we let that relationship flourish? How do we let it continue? So with where your clients are spending their time, are you there? Now, how many of you here this morning have got a smartphone with you? Good, yeah, every single person, absolutely. And our clients, even Kim at the back. So our clients are exactly the same, aren't they? They're at 90% distribution across the UK now, smartphones. So whether or not we think our clients are tech savvy, they are using this technology. They're on it. They look at the weather forecast, they look at the royal wedding, they look at the bank balances, they receive messages, take photographs, they do all manner of different things through these things, and that is normal. So unless you are present where they're spending hours of time every single day, then how is your relationship going to extend? How are you going to ensure that connection? And it's about where your attention is focused. Now, this slide is important. It's important because most of us here focus our conversational attention, at the very least, on this percentage of people here, the so-called baby boomers. Now, when I have conversations with people, and I have thousands of conversations every single year all over the world, it's not just the UK who are doing this, we by and large focus the conversations around this type of client. That's the demographic that our conversations center around. But look at the percentage of people that are somewhere else. So there's more than 70% of the target market, certainly 47% of it are between the millennials and the Generation X, as it's known. But if we look at where the next generation of clients are coming from, look how they're spending their time. Look at the communication, look at the key technology that they're using. And so unless we're addressing that part, unless we're letting ourselves become available to our clients and nourishing that relationship there, or at least something just fell down behind, that was good to know, or unless we are allowing our clients to discover us and be attracted to us here. Because if this is what this next generation of people are all about, then how are they going to be attracted to you unless you are where they're looking and doing business in the way in which they are looking to have it in place? So securing that client connection is really very important. Anyone disagree with that point so far? Anyone have any thoughts around that aspect of it? No? Super. So we'll come on to what some of the technology does in a moment, but if we can begin with that part and we can answer that question why, if it's just you sat down here this morning, that's great. If you've got others you need to talk to about this, then that's where I encourage the conversation to begin. Why do we want to have an app? Is it important that we are present where our clients are spending their time and that they can turn to us as a firm first and not into the myriad of other softwares that are out there? Whilst they might be good, it's important that the client is coming to us first and foremost. And if we get that part right, this is the good news. If we can get that part right, if you can be present and if you can deliver something in a way that clients can actually use and engage with and communicate through, and I'll talk about the communication in a moment, then you too can enjoy testimonials like these. Now these are comments, not that we phoned up and said, are you happy to leave a testimonial? These are comments where I asked one of the team to go onto the Apple Store and to scroll down the apps that we built for firms in place already. So what we're about to read, if you can see them on screen, are comments from clients of other firms who've actually taken the time to go onto the Apple Store and leave a review of the app. Now, if you'd asked me, I would have said no one would ever do such a thing. I mean, who would spend their time reviewing an accountant's app at the end of the day? But they have, and in their thousands. It's staggering. And these are the comments that you see. So if we can see things like, what a really useful app, quick reference, easy to use, very good, very pleased, a one-stop shop. If this is the sort of comment that people are writing unsolicited, somebody might come in through the back of the stand in a minute, who knows? If these are the comments that people are writing unsolicited, imagine what they're saying to other people. And when we talk about relationship, if we can generate and foster that goodwill in the client base, that's really important. Excellent application. I would recommend this company if you require accounting assistance. This is what people are taking their time to go and write on store just at the moment. So if we can generate these, are these the sorts of comments that you would like your clients to be saying about your firm? Yeah? Bit of a daft question to ask, but it's good to see the nods coming nonetheless. So when I go back to the broad challenge point that I mentioned at the very start, business and finance and tax is increasingly complex and increasingly tech dependent. So it's a broad challenge, but there is a broad solution in the apps that we can build and that you can have in place. Excuse me. And it's important you do that. We refer to it a bit like the Swiss Army app of knives. Yeah? You've got lots of different tools inside there. Some of these things are going to resonate for you. You're going to go, do you know what, Dan, that's the thing I'm looking for my client. I spoke to an Australian firm at 5 a.m. this morning. That was fun. An Australian firm this morning, and for them it was all about being able to communicate, and I'll talk about that in a minute. They want to be able to send messages through in one place. Somebody else the other day, it was about receipt capture. They said, I want to be able to get the expenses coming through more easily. There's a lot of different things that the apps can do, but because it's a broad challenge, you can deliver a broad solution to your clients where across the breadth of the people you serve, there's parts of it that are going to be appropriate for all of them and at different levels. And of course, it's small enough to carry and have with them. Now, the communication part here, this is key. It's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek picture, but who here finds communication hard? Not just when you're sat down in front of a client, but outside of that, who thinks it's a challenge to be able to get good content, good communication, regular stuff? Yep, people nodding. That's good. So it's a difficult thing to do. We find it a difficult thing to do as well. But if we think back to where the journey has been, because this is a journey together, isn't it? And looking around the room, most of us will have been through every stage of this journey. So when we first started out, we made the very first marketing telephone call for accounting firms when it became legal to do so, because you'll recall at one stage it was illegal to do that. So when we first did that, then we were reported to the Institute on a ton of different occasions, as you can imagine, because accountants are going, oh my word, what on earth are you up to? Business owners, on the other hand, went, yeah, of course I'll meet that person. You mean an accountant's calling me? And it was such a shock to them, and lots of business was being generated. Now, we fast forward to where we've gone through. We were doing direct mail shots using letters. We're doing fax marketing. Who here still got a fax machine? No, but we were doing fax marketing. I remember having them up on the wall when they came through, the order forms coming back through. It was exciting. Faxes worked really well. Email and mobile. Now, sticking with mobile for a moment, have a look at this thing. This I discovered, because we're moving house at the moment, when I was clearing out the garage. This was, I believe, my first ever smartphone. Now, I'm really excited about this thing because this was the Nokia communicator. Okay? Now, the Nokia communicator, one of its defining features was that I could send and receive faxes from it. So when this smartphone came out, fax communication was still every day, and it was a selling feature. I remember walking down Ilkley High Street in North Yorkshire, sending a fax from here, closing it, putting it back in my pocket and going, man, that was good. I've just sent a fax while I'm walking down the street. Yep, and now look where we are. I walked into the office and I just showed it like this to our team and various members of our team. Nobody could tell me what it was, and we are now discovered we employ people younger than this smartphone. Okay, so this is how fast things have moved on. iPhones weren't even a thing in Steve Jobs' eyes at that time, okay? So we've moved on very quickly to online, into smartphones, and of course apps now, and we can look at all the analytics that are out there, as well as our own personal experiences, but only 11% of time now spent on smartphones is browsing websites. The rest of the time we're engaging content, tools, communication through the app interfaces themselves. And so communication can be easier. As you deliver your app to your clients and you present it to them, you know exactly who's got it downloaded. You can see who they are. You can send messages to them as an individual person. They already are generating a 5 times better result than using email. So already you can go much further, more quickly, very easily, well, not this one, but just by getting onto your clients' smartphones. You can also segment your groups. So if you've got 100 people who've got your app or 1,000 people who've got it, you can break them down into different group sets. So you can say, right, I want to send this message to all my clients who've got some sort of property interest. And you can get the right message to the right people at the right time. The app does not need to be open for the message to land. So the app can be closed, the phone can even be on standby. But you know, if your phone's in your pocket right now and someone sent you a text message and you bring your phone out after the session, you'll see that little banner, don't you, on the home screen of your device. The push notifications work in exactly the same way. So at the moment, here today, I will likely respond to any of those that come through. But anyone who sends me an email has got no chance. We're just too busy, and you're probably the same as it goes through. One of the other things that you can use these for is really important. Now, one of our clients is a chap called Stephen Farrar at Farrar Associates. And one of the things he told me, he said, Dan, I've given my clients spreadsheets over the years. This might resonate with some of you. I've given them desktop software over the years. I've given some of them cloud accounting software. And they think it's brilliant. And in the meeting, they go, yes, Stephen, I get it. I'm going to use it. And they walk out of that room and nothing happens. Nothing changes. Because we're creatures of habit, aren't we? We do things in the way that we've done it, even if we're enthusiastic about it. Where Stephen found that this was really good is 2 things. One, it went to where they're comfortable already. We use our smartphones, don't we? We're for almost everything. We use them many times throughout every single day. It's an environment that people find comfortable. They do not need to be tech savvy. Secondly, he was able to use the push notifications to lead people into what he wanted them to be doing. So if he's put a document in Dropbox, Iris OpenSpace, Virtual Cabinet, CCH, whatever system you might be using, he can now send a message through the app that says, Dan, that file's online, please sign it off now. I can swipe the message, your app automatically loads, I log in, sign it off, and I've done it within a matter of seconds. As opposed to it being another email sat in my inbox waiting for my attention. If he wants me to be using Xero or Free Agent or QuickBooks, whomever you might be using, he can send a message through, Dan, remember to check in each evening and have a look at your numbers, see how you're getting on. He can influence and drive that behavior and get things working out from there. So when you come to think about your own app, it's really important that this is independently your own. Okay, this is what we do. We're 100% focused on it. The reason this is the leading solution globally is because we've set our sail and said we are going to help accounting firms be present at the heart of the mobile relationship with our clients. We're not going to get distracted by anything else. This isn't a sideshow at all. And what it means is we've been able to learn very quickly from the many that we've served here in the UK and elsewhere. And what this is about is saying, look, this is you in front of your clients. But there's a number of tools. It might be GPS mile tracking, it might be photo receipt management, document scanning, calculators, tax content. You can decide what you want inside your app that's useful to your clients from the suite of stuff that's available. You can then turn around to us and say, Dan, we also use Xero, and we also use Futurely, and we also use Dropbox. Please, can we have those in our app? Yeah, of course. Let's put the logins in place. So anything else that you do with an online engagement with your clients, some of you will do online diary management where people can schedule into your diary. Great, let's stick that inside the app for you. Some of you might take online payment. Great, let's pop that inside the app for you as well. So it becomes the single interface that your clients need with you, and that customization is immense, as you can see on there. So that's where the conversation comes together. We work out what you're up up to, where you're going with your clients, and it's a journey. Sometimes people feel that they need to get everything together on day one. You've probably had similar feelings. I know I have that challenge where I think I need to do this now and get everything together. The important thing to do is to start a journey, isn't it? So you say, well, this is what I'm doing today, and that's great. But over time, as you choose other software, more innovation comes through because it's a fast-moving market. That's okay. Pick up the phone to the team, and we'll add the next thing inside the app for you as well. And that way, your ability to release and remove new programs to your clients over time, like Stephen's example, is far easier as well. I was listening to the Radio 4 Today programme recently, you know, the news programme in the morning, and John Humphreys was interviewing a university professor, forgive me, I've forgotten his name, but he'd just done some research, and it's very interesting. His research shows that we are 62%, I don't know how we got that number, but we are 62% less likely to do something if we have to go to multiple different environments to access that information. So even if 62% is a professor's number rather than the real one, it still resonates, doesn't it? If you think about making things more complex, there's so much good stuff online that's designed to make us more efficient, but ironically, it's beginning to do the opposite. We have to go here for this and there for that and over there for somewhere else. I've got web links, apps, emails, they're all over the place. Whereas if you can bring it home together into your one app with your client, then you find that you can use the notifications like Stephen's example, lead and influence that behavior, and actually get more efficiency out of the other good programs that you might choose across Accountex while you're here today. And just like the lady that I spoke to in Australia this morning, her name was Leanne, she said, Dan, I've looked at this one program, I'll keep them nameless if you don't mind, because she'll probably come back and use them in the future as well. But she said one of the problems was it charged $15 a month for the client to use it. And I said, well, that's okay, it's a really good program, Leanne. She said, yes, but my clients don't want to spend any more money on this stuff at the moment. And you might recognise that feeling as well. So for Leanne, one of the things that she wanted to do and why she's gone ahead with this now is that she wanted to be able to have something where she has her own agreement with us, that's okay, but she can give this to her clients for free. So she turns around and says, Dan, use my app. It's not going to cost you any more, but it's going to save you time. Look at this tool, that tool. This is how I want you to use it. And then maybe in 8 months, 10 months, a year from now, when she's ready to use that other program, because it is a good one, she can go to those clients and go, look how you're using this. This is going to make it even better. It's another $15 a month. I think you should use it. Oh, she said, do you know what, Leanne, that's a great idea, thanks. And you've got a much stronger foundation to be able to introduce those sorts of things to people over time as well. But for clients, they find this really simple. Let me give you an example. It's easy to say things are simple, isn't it? But let me show you the mileage tracker, for example. Okay, let me know if you think you can't do this at all. You press the green button to start the journey, and then you begin the journey. It's grabbed hold of the GPS. That's it. You now drive. You can use the phone for sat-nav, take a phone call, hands-free obviously, as you're going around. Anything else that you want to do normally, plug it in for music like my kids do. And then when you get to the destination, you just press the red button, and it asks you to give it a reason for the journey. So I say I had a meeting at Accountex, and that's it. Job done. So it's automatically got the start location, end location, the distances, dates and duration, all logged. And at the end of the day or the month, all I do is I press the export all trips button and that will email it over to you. Job done. So it's that sort of simplicity. And one of the things that we've been very fortunate with is being able to learn from those 500,000 plus who are already using it about saying, actually, can it work this way? That would be better for us. We don't like that part of it. And we can make these things more effective over time. The other aspect to this is, is GDPR. Now, how many people here have been enjoying GDPR? No one's nodding this time. Okay. So GDPR, it is what it is. We've all got to get on with it. It's just normal. Yeah. So what the app does is it makes you GDPR compliant in the collection of the data from your clients. So the collection of the receipts, the mileage and so on, the contact information, the updating of that information over time, that's all good. That gets stored online, and then it's up to you to manage the rest of it from there within your existing processes. But this means you've got a great way of communicating that's compliant through the push notifications, and a way of getting them to use the portals that you're probably wanting them to do to share large files and sensitive data now within GDPR. And it's a way of collecting the data from the client that works as well. So you've got those boxes ticked. But if I go back to what I was sharing earlier around the communication, then this is when you can segment your audience. So if you've got good content, some of you might buy it in, some of you might write it yourselves, then let's leverage that content. Get it in front of people in a way in which they can see it, in a way in which they can actually engage with it and learn about what it is you want them to be understanding or at least responding to, and use the notifications to help you with that. Now, anybody here, because it's not for everybody, but anybody here interested in trying to grow the firm, trying to and create new clients for the firm? Yeah, a few people nodding, or at least winking at me at the moment. The nods have faded slightly. So, okay, that's fine. One of the things that the app does, and it's important for this, because we've been told, because we've asked a lot of people, we try and listen, and say, look, we want to grow our firms, but we want to grow it our way. And as we grow the firm our way, because it's my business, thank you, Dan, then we want to make sure that we care and protect for what we've already got whilst we grow and attract the right type of people in. So this is where this has been designed to work as well. Yes, you'll care and protect for the existing clients, but it's attractive to those new ones, not just because of those demographic numbers that we put up a little bit earlier, but because if you are looking for the type of client who would use this, they tend to be the type of client who wants to engage with you more. That's the experience that we've seen other firms have. They tend to be the type of client that is a little bit more switched on to the programs that you want to be using going forward, as the profession as a whole moves much more into the cloud accounting space, which frankly isn't new any longer. It's become quite normal. So if you're looking for that type of client, this is a great way to attract them. Put it on your website as a download, give it to clients to pass out to friends and family and other contacts and so on. HFM, their example here is Ian Marlowe, who runs that firm. He says, Dan, in every prospect meeting, however I've come across that meeting, it might be a referral or from a website or so on, he says, I always get them to download the app. And he says, you can see their eyes change at that moment because they're looking at it. It's physical. It means something to them. And it makes the other stuff that I've been telling them about the type of firm we are come alive at that point. So you can use it in that sort of scenario. JCS here, Dick Haffenden, who runs that firm, they sent out a mail shot, a normal just sales letter with a brochure for the firm, just a normal type of sales brochure that a firm has. They sent it to 5,000 local businesses around where they are in Sutton, and they won 2 clients within the first 3 weeks because they also included a very simple iPhone-shaped flyer in that mailer. Yeah, really low cost to print, but it looks a little bit different. And the reason they won those 2 clients is because 2 of the businesses that contacted them phoned them. They didn't do anything else. They picked up the phone and said, I've seen your flyer, I've downloaded your app, it looks like you guys do things a bit differently, can we talk? That was all it took. And that's all that marketing's about, isn't it? What is measurably different about you, and what in that difference has a specific advantage to the people that you're talking to. So, folks, it's a journey that you're on as a firm at the moment. We've only got a short time for this session, but we're going to be able to continue next door if you would like to be able to do so. But I encourage you to make some choices while you're here together at the show. It can be overwhelming sometimes when you're at a show like this with all sorts of ideas coming out, all many different people fighting for attention. And if you don't make some choices while you're here, you end up tomorrow, Friday even, back in the office going, man, where do I start? The phone rings, and we all know the story. It's one of the things that we try and get to. So if you are in the mind of doing something, I encourage you to take that action. If you would like to do so, we do have a show offer. This is the sales pitch moment, so stand by. So we do have a show offer. What that means is there is a monthly license fee for your app if you would like us to build you one, if what I've said has resonated with you. And that license fee depends on the size of your firm, so we can talk that through in a moment together. But there's a 15% reduction on that fee if you're happy to go ahead today. And there's also, in addition to that, because that's going to save you up to £950, there's also what we call the One Care package. Now, building you an app is one thing. Helping you to use it is a totally different thing. And what the One Care package does is it allows us to be a lot more dedicated to helping you with implementing that. It's normally worth £120 a month as a different service level. You'll be familiar with having service levels like that from other places. If you're happy to go ahead together today at the show, you get that 15% reduction, plus you get that One Care package, which has got a whole bunch of different things in there, processes, resources, human support from our business to help you to implement and get that engagement that'll be delivered with you as well. So folks, thank you very much. Really happy to take questions. If you'd like to pick up on what I've just said there, let me know in a second and I'll help you out with that. But before we part, are there any questions over what I've said? Yes, sir.
Some idea of cost?
Some idea of cost. Okay, some idea of cost. It's based on the size of the firm by measure of the overall client base. So for a firm who has fewer than 100 clients as a whole firm, then the price is £99 plus VAT per month, normally, before the discounts. Yeah. For a firm that has between 100 to 300 clients, there's a slight scaling in price, but it goes up to £299 at its most, so there's a scaling between there. And for a firm that has more than 300 clients, the price is scaling further than that again, but begins at £299 a month thereafter. Does that help? Yeah? Yes, sir.
Can you also have a linkage to the HMRC and Companies House?
Thank you.
Can you?
Yes, you can. Yeah, so the question there was, can we also have a link from the app or within the app to HMRC and Companies House? Yes, you can. I haven't dwelt on Making Tax Digital today, but there's a bunch of stuff in here that will help you with that. And for the small clients you have, those who are below the VAT threshold, then when they come into play in roughly a year's time or so from now, then they are going to be able to use the app to support them with Making Tax Digital. There's those direct connections with the revenue already in place. So you can link through at the moment, but there's other stuff further down the road as well. Any other questions at all? No? Super. Oh, yes, was there?
Care package, is that included? Is that extra?
Okay, thank you. Let me clarify around the care package that I've described to you. Ordinarily, it's extra. If you're happy to go ahead while you're here at the show today, then you get that 15% reduction in the monthly license fee, plus you get the care package free. No charge for that if we go ahead together while we're here. Okay, is that clear? Thank you. Super. Folks, thank you so much for your time. Once again, if you want to have a chat about taking that forward and making it work for your firm, I'll stand exactly where I am now. You can come and chat with me and we'll help you out from there. If you would want to just to browse it further, directly next door, the team has stood by with big TVs. You can go and see the demos up on the TVs as well. Thank you.